Lifetime really needs to come get their movie off of Netflix. What's going on, guys? It's your girl Black Cherry here. Here again, doing another movie review for no apparent reason. I just got done watching Deadly Illusions for the second time. And no, it wasn't because it was amazing. I watched it twice because I legit was confused for the most part. And I guess a lot of other people were too, but let's get into it. Okay. Let's get my notes here because I got a lot to say. I have a lot to say on this movie. So, if you haven't heard about Deadly Illusions, it is a Netflix movie, thriller type. I believe it came out between like 3 weeks ago or so, like in March, late March. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know what I was expecting from this movie. I was definitely looking for more of a psychological thriller, horror maybe, and based off of not the reviews, but just the little clips that they would show to promote the film, it seemed that it fell into my category that I was looking for. But I got something completely different. So the story's about Mary Morrison. She is a writer, very famous writer, very well-off writer, and she is writing a book and thus needs a nanny to kind of help take care of her kids as she is writing this book. And typical plot, the person that she invites into her home isn't who she says she is, and yeah, things happen. Right, basic plot, like you've heard this before. Think of any movie on Lifetime. Think of Obsessed, the one where Beyonce did the thing. Like, you've seen this before. This movie's a bit different, though. I wouldn't say really different. Maybe it's just not as well done as I would have hoped that it would have been. So, in the first 10 seconds of the film, we get lots of images of water. Just a whole bunch of beach scenes, oceans, and water. To be quite honest, I think it's an innuendo for what later happens on in this movie. I won't even get into that yet. So, like I said, we're following Mary Morrison. She's a writer. She has very impeccable style. Her house looks amazing. She dresses amazing. She apparently has everything that you could ever want. 2 kids, twins, a boy and a girl, a husband that they make it really poignantly clear that he's great in bed because that's important for the plot. You should know that they have great sex all the time. And I'm not even joking. Like, literally this movie has several scenes where I wasn't sure if I was watching Lifetime or a softcore lesbian porno. A lot of things going on in those scenes. Anyway, so the movie kind of just throws things together And like the first part of the film, like I said, she is a writer. Her publicist, I guess, wants her to make another book to go within her collection, and she doesn't want to do it. She doesn't want to do it, and makes it clear that she rather not talk anymore about the said deal that they have. I don't know. They came to her with some sort of deal. She didn't even want to look at it. The publicist assistant kind of goes on this really long monologue about how she's not really a great writer, but she makes her money off of salacious stories or whatever. And I didn't really get it. I don't think that scene was important in this film, but basically she's saying that she is only famous because she writes salacious things. Anyway, she apparently will be getting offered $2 million if she takes the deal. $2 million for another book. I don't know if that's an actual thing. Do like writers really get $2 million for making another book? I mean, I don't know. That's something that I probably need to look up. Her husband seems very intrigued by this deal, which, I mean, it makes sense. They live in a very nice house. He makes money, she makes money, so everyone should be hunky-dory, right? Well, that's not really the reason why he wants her to write this book. Apparently, her husband made some dumb trade or something, and it goes bad. And I don't really know. They have an argument, and I don't really know what really goes on in there. But yeah, they got in a fight, and now she has to take this deal for the $2 million because apparently he lost a lot of money in this trade, and he sucks. He sucks. And thus we have set up the scene for Mary to get a nanny because she needs someone to watch her kids as she focuses on her new book. Anyway, we get... They try to like throw little Easter eggs here and there. She makes a statement saying that she doesn't really want to write this book because she turns into a different person. She makes several comments throughout the film saying that when she did write her other book, she was in a really dark place or something, and that bad things happen to her or weird things happen to her when she starts writing these books. Which, in a sense, is a weak plot, but yeah, she just has really bad luck when writing her stories because things tend to take on a life of their own or something. So she interviews like a whole cluster of nannies. They make it very clear that she's a very wealthy woman and that she has the means to get the best of the nannies, or at least that's what her friend said, because the, I guess, nanny consultant firm, whatever the heck, that she goes to only takes certain clients, and they only hire the best. These ladies apparently go to either these schools, know at least 2 languages, cook, clean, and do all kinds of stuff around the house. It doesn't really sound, well, maybe that is a nanny, but it sounds more of like a housekeeper. But I'm not rich, so I mean, what do I know? So she interviews these ladies. None of them stick out. Matter of fact, I can't even believe they pretended to make these women seem like more than they were. They all suck in some sense or form. But again, that is not even, that doesn't matter to the story. The point is that what we're trying to get to is the person that she does choose to be her nanny for her kids, which is Grace, who is literally the embodiment of the girl next door. She's blonde, blue-eyed, really pretty, really sweet, enjoys kids, and even enjoys reading, which Mary seems to find incredibly like interesting. So they bond over like books and stuff. So she hires her on the spot. She loves her. From there on out, there is a lot of sexual experiences, a lot of sexual tension, a lot of sexual experiences between, I guess, her and her husband. Like, apparently they cannot get enough of each other, and then a lot of tension between her and Mary, between Grace and Mary, which it didn't really make sense on how that budded or came to be. She just thought that she was attractive and started doing all these nice things for her, like getting her lingerie, or letting her go into the pool with the kids and whatnot. And basically what I'm saying, like, we literally got any chance we could to look down Grace's shirt or up her skirt. She wears a lot of skirts in this. So like I said, a lot of sexual tension going on, and things kind of get to a head when Mary sees Grace getting dressed in her room or whatever. And this movie doesn't make sense. Like, we had the infamous bath scene, and the kitchen scene with her husband. Might I say that Grace is there's something different about Grace. Like, she's either a good little girl with Mary, or she's a seductress with Mary's husband, Tom. So it's like two flips of the coin here. Anyway, so yeah, Grace has somehow intermingled her way in the family. The kids love her. Mary is either fantasizing or she's actually doing Grace. It wasn't really clear on that. I'm pretty sure they did have sexual relations. And then of course, Grace and Mary's husband also have a thing. That wasn't really focused on. It was more focused on the girl on girl, less on the guy on girl. Although they did make it clear that she was a dominatrix with him, so yay. Like, the movie goes on and on about this sort of tension, sexual relations with Grace and Mary, until her friend kind of like, pulls her head out of the clouds and is just like, hey, are you even interested in girls? Or were you ever interested in girls? And she's like, no, it's just that she's like a little innocent little thing that I can get to make her to do whatever I want. Which, that's not predatory in any sort of way. And then, like, her friend, you have to have that stereotypical black friend. That is her friend, Elaine? I think it's Elaine. But she's pretty much the only smart one here. She's just all like, from the moment Grace arrived, she's been nitpicking at her this entire time. Just like, out of all the candidates, you had to choose the Playboy bunny. Um, I wouldn't be comfortable with her around my husband. If Tom's not getting, stuff from you, where do you think he's getting it from? Like, she's just that kind of annoying little bug, but that little bug kind of saves your ass every once in a while. And that's who Elaine is. She's just that black friend that you need in your ear to tell you that this is not okay. That something's wrong here. I would like to make it clear that neither Mary or her husband Tom know that they've been boning the same woman. So honestly, I think it's a win-win for Grace, if you ask me. Anyway, where was I? This movie's all over the place, and to be quite honest, I kind of lost interest somewhere in the middle. She ends up Elaine's friend ends up. Elaine dies. Mary gets pinned for the murder. And she goes off looking for Grace's original origins, because somewhere in the movie she realizes that, oh, Grace doesn't actually work for the company that she hired from, and that she literally has a stranger in her house. So she somehow finds her address and goes to her home. It's clear that how Grace grew up. She grew up in an abusive household with her seven other siblings. And then she ended up living with this woman who is, if I'm not a diagnosis, I don't know mental disorders like that, but apparently she has multiple personalities or dissociative disorder or something. It's like two people talking at the same time. This leads to Mary to think that Grace is also dangerous, and she's right, because this whole time we didn't know if she was sweet or innocent or seductive. She seems to be both, and technically she is. She has an alter ego, and her name is Margaret. Margaret is the seductress, the dominatrix, the one that is causing all the problems and issues within Mary's life. Blah, blah, blah. And yeah, she finds that out. You have the whole fight scene, blah, blah, whatever. She kicks Grace's butt. And then she ends up being Grace's caretaker. And that's pretty much the end of the movie. Now, here are my problem points with this entire film. What was the point? What was the plot of this? It was never made clear why the heck Grace and Margaret, since they're the same person, why they went after Mary. What did she have other than maybe a lot of money and stuff? But they really didn't have any connections. There was no reason for her to be obsessed with her like the way she was. They never went into that. Second of all, I hate the loose trying to tie things together, saying that Mary is a different person when she writes her books. Things happen when she writes her books. Honestly, it doesn't sound all that compelling in a story. Things happen when you write your books. What are you, Stephen King? I don't understand how this movie tried to play off of that narrative, and it wasn't all that clear. Second of all, why is there so many scenes of water? Literally nothing to do with the story, but every once in a while, in between the movies, you get scenes of just beaches and water and stuff, and there was no point in this. This movie didn't make any sense. It didn't explain. It loosely explained why Grace has or had dissociative disorder. It doesn't even go over the fact that, like I said, both Mary and Tom were screwing the same woman. Like there was no point on that. Maybe that's a different movie, but there was nothing there. There wasn't even really much of a build up to it. It was almost like Grace shows up, a lot of sex stuff happens. Mary's friend dies, and then that's the big climax. That's it. So there wasn't really even a build up. There wasn't like a necessary stage of escalating affairs that kind of just saw it. It was just more so, hey, look at these two girls get it on, in a sense. I guess that really isn't a lot to say, because maybe this movie doesn't deserve a lot to say. I just remember thinking that this is clearly a Lifetime rendition. Like, I can't even tell you how many times that Lifetime probably has the same freaking narrative. Or Oxygen, or any of those women crime thriller channels that you see out there. And I personally like those. However, Netflix could have done a little bit better with this movie. There is no reason why the only thing that I remember from this movie is the sex scenes. I didn't hear much for the plot. Mary was boring as a character. Grace was even boring as a character. Tom was just like a lump somewhere with a boner, because it's literally all he could do is just screw things. And that's basically what I got from this film. Just Margaret, I'm sorry, was talking about she always get what she wants. But what do you want? As far as I'm concerned, she has the best of both worlds. She has a Tom and Mary, and both of them seem pretty willing participants in her little game, as long as she keeps it quiet between the both of them. Also, in this film, Mary, I guess the reason why it's called Deadly Illusions is because Mary goes through these spells of her imagining the sexual tension and the scene and sexual scenes, even though it sounds like they really did happen. It sounds like she doesn't even remember, like she's been drugged. However, we have no idea how that happens. She just loses time or loses sleep or something, and she just remembers these vivid sexual experiences. I'm assuming that she's drugged, or unless she's just insane and she needs to get on some drugs. But I mean, I guess that doesn't really help, because it turns out that her illusions were actually the thing. But they never really explained that. They were just illusions. There's no real cause. So now we're sitting here wondering if she was drugged or not, or if she just had blackouts because she was so enticed by Grace. Which that doesn't even make sense. Go check it out for yourself. I recommend watching it, keeping an open mind to things. If you don't like salacious films like that, then I mean, I don't even know why I said that. I recommend the film. I think it's a good laugh if you like to do running commentary. I don't even know where this video was going. I just know is that I spent an hour and 44 minutes wondering what the hell am I watching. And I did it twice, so maybe that's on me. I wasted my own time with this. There is no reason. This film got a 3.6 out of 10 on IMDb, and I can see why. I'm literally going to go and look at something a little bit more of an interest. Maybe, you know what? Screw it. I don't care how bad Beyonce was at acting and obsessed. I'd rather watch that than see what I just saw again on Netflix. Waste of time. But I still say watch it. Watch it and make your own judgment. Okay, that's all I got. I will talk to y'all later. I said I would be consistent this year. So much for that, but whatever. I'll hold myself accountable. I will. All right, deuces.